UFC 325 is taking place tomorrow night, and today I'm going to be looking at the entire card, starting with the early prelim opener all the way up to the main event. And I'm going to be giving my prediction for every fight on the card. Each and every fight, I'm going to be giving a detailed breakdown of. Don't you worry. You just wait. We'll go ahead and get started. I won't waste your time anymore. So, now this fight right here, the prelim opener, road to the UFC bantamweight final. Spent a long time researching this, put in the hard yards, really dug through the trenches of regional scene film to find out who I'm going to pick for this one. And, we look at everything. We look at all the measurements and stuff, even in height, even in reach, even in leg reach. I mean, they're all zero. They're all invisible, I guess. So, it's a tough one. It's a tricky one. But I think I'm gonna be going with Sulan Grongbo because from my research, a little bit rangier. He's got better striking. I think the grappling is pretty even, but I think I'm gonna lean Sulan Grongbo after all my research I've done. No other reason. We'll move on to the co-main or the co-main. What am I talking about? The second fight on the card. These two. He's fucking 2-0. Oh my god. They're both 2-0. I'm gonna go with Sebastian Szalai. I'm gonna go with Sebastian Szalai because, he's a real tough guy. He's a real gritty fighter. I mean, he's got that Australian fight in him. He's gonna have that home crowd behind him. Cause I'm sure the crowd's gonna be packed for this fight. I mean, that's what they're all coming here for. So I'm gonna go with Sebastian Szalai for not really any specific reason. He's just tough. He's grittier, and I think he's gonna get it done. And then third fight up the card: Song Wook Kim versus Donmar Fan. We're gonna go with Donmar Fan. I think that he's gonna carry that momentum of that Aussie crowd, and he's gonna win that third fight on the card. And I think his his why the fuck do they have two and 0 guys? What are we doing? They're 2-0. All right, I don't even know. Just bin road UFC. This is a waste of everyone's time. We'll go Don Marfan, I guess. Konoff Lee versus Yiza. I'm gonna go with Yiza getting this one done. Very very experienced. I think he had an impressive win in his last fight. Let me go look who it was. I forget who it was against. I think Weston Wilson. Yeah, Weston Wilson got a really early knockout. Which Weston Wilson's is a bit of a paid victim, but I mean, still an impressive win. 30 seconds in. Took Gene Silva a lot longer to finish him than that. So that's impressive stuff. And then his loss. I mean, he lost to Gabriel Santos before that. Who Gabriel Santos I think is really good. I mean, he has wins over Jack Jenkins. He had a close fight a very competitive fight at least with David Onama. He did end up getting knocked out, but it was a competitive fight. I think he got a knockdown of his own early in the fight. So Yeezus kind of been through the ringer on UFC competition. Konoff Lee is coming off a win himself, but I think he's going to get this one done. I'll go by decision. Next fight, Jonathan Mikulev versus Oban Elliott. We're going to go with Oban Elliott, the Welsh gangster. I think he's going to get it done, and I think people are overlooking him a bit after that Seok Ko fight. But I think Seok Ko is really good. I think he's one of the best prospects in the sport. Maybe even, dare I say, the best prospect at welterweight. I mean, the dude's really good. He's got incredible grappling. And Alban Elliott was even having some decent moments with his counter grappling. He was able to get that going at times. So I think Alban Elliott, I think he's going to get this one done. I really like him on the feet. I think he's good at managing distance. I think he's good at mixing it up with the kicks and the punches. He's a good striker. Alban Elliott's really good, and I trust his counter grappling if the fight goes there. For Jonathan Mikulev, he's had one fight in the UFC. It was against Kevin Jusset. And Kevin Jusset, for a while, I thought he was really good. That fight he had with Brian Battle, I was looking at that fight as a big prospect versus prospect fight at welterweight. But it kind of turns out that Kevin Jusset just really sucks. He got flatline KO'd in PFL recently. That was his last fight. He's been on like a 3-4 fight losing streak. Not a good run right now for Kevin Jusset. So that win is kind of gone down in stock for Jonathan Mikulev. This is a fight that's been in a long time in the making. It was booked like early last year, and then it fell through. But we're finally getting it. So I'm going to go with Alban Elliott. I do worry about the reach disadvantage in this one. Mikulev's got a 5-inch reach advantage, but I really like Alban Elliott on the feet. I think he's a very well-rounded striker, and I think he's going to get this one done 29-28 decision. We'll move on. Jacob Malkoun versus Torres Finney. I'm gonna go with Torres Finney. Unfortunately, in this fight, two little middleweights, 5'9" versus 5'8". Torres Finney's a little meatball, and I don't think for Jacob Malkoun, who his strength is wrestling, I don't think he's gonna have much success in the wrestling against Torres Finney. Torres Finney is just he's so compact and explosive, and he's got good wrestling background himself. He's a very good offensive grappler, and I'm sure his defensive wrestling is pretty good as well. And you see the frame difference. I mean, Torres Finney is just a fucking tank of a human. I think it's going to be hard for Jacob Malkoun to get his grappling going in this fight. I think Torres Finney is going to get this one done by decision. I also think he's a lot more explosive on the feet, so he'll probably have the bigger moments. Yeah, I think it's going to take someone with a lot of with a reach and a frame advantage over Torres Finney, who can kind of keep him at bay and just pick at him from distance. But Torres Finney's got really good wrestling. He's really stocky. He's undefeated. I think he's going to get this win over Jacob Malkoun. I don't think it's going to be a wrestler that takes Torres Finney 0. We'll move on to Cam Rousner versus Cody Brundage, a former opponent of Jacob Malkoun, Cody Brundage right there. I think Jacob Malkoun's former opponent, Cody Brundage, is going to get knocked out in this fight. I do. I don't think it'll be a round 1 knockout. I think Cam Rousner's going to maybe have some moments where he's struggling with the grappling, the wrestling of Cody Brundage. But Cam Rousner, he is really big and rangy on the feet. He's got a huge frame advantage over Cody Brundage. He has really long arms. I think he's going to just pepper Cody Brundage up. I think Cody Brundage might be a little soft to the body. I think those teep kicks are going to be big for him here. I think he's going to be busting his face up with a jab. And I'm going to go round 2 KO for Cam Rouston. I think he's going to get it done, a volume TKO. Maybe there's some sketchy moments with the grappling. I mean, Cam Rouston did get held down on the Contender Series by Torres Finney. But again, there's not many guys at middleweight that I think are as explosive as Torres Finney. So I think Cam Rouston's going to get this one done. Maybe a decision, but I'm going to go with a 2nd or 3rd round TKO. We'll move on. Billy Elikana versus Junior Tafa. I'm going to go with Billy Elikana with winning this one. I think he's better all around. I think Junior Tafa's not very skilled. Tafa, he just got subbed by Tuco Tokos in his last fight, which is not a good look. That's one of the worst light heavyweights on the roster. I will give him credit for at least getting in shape and cutting down to 205, because he was a flabby mess at heavyweight. He had no business being in the division. But Billy Elikana, he's good, man. Billy Elikana, he gave Bogdan Guskov some trouble early in their fight. And since then, he had a win over Ibo Aslan, which isn't the most impressive. But after that, he fought against the guy in his debut. I forget the guy's name. I think it's like Kevin Christian or something. But he was a real tall, light heavyweight, big dude. Billy kind of nuked him on the chin and then subbed him with a rear naked choke. He's very well rounded. He's got very good technical striking. I think he's going to get this one done. I think he might play a little bit of a tit-for-tat game, kind of like he did against Ibo Aslan, just because of the power that's coming back his way from Junior Tafa. So I'm going to go with Billy Elikana getting this one done by a 30-27 decision. I think he's going to pick away at Junior Tafa. I think he's going to be beating up those legs with the leg kicks. Who knows, though? Maybe he's able to get him down and sub him like Tokos does. That could be a game plan here for Elikana, but I think he's going to play it safe on the feet and get an easy decision win. We'll move on to the main card opener. Hydrogen Bomb versus Coughing Baby right here. Quillen Salkild's going to knock out Jamie Malarkey in round 1. Yeah, it's a pretty easy pick for me. Dude, Jamie Malarkey, like I mentioned earlier with the other guy, I forget his name, he is a victim for hire. Jamie Malarkey is a victim for hire, and he's going to show that. He is the guy that they feed to prospects when they want to get them a highlight reel KO, when they want something cool to happen. And Quillen Salkild's going to get a highlight reel KO. I'm going to go 2 minutes in, just a straight right down the pipe, catches Malarkey on the chin, sits him down, then he finishes him with ground and pound. I think Quillen Salkild, he's got power, he's got very dynamic striking. He also has very good grappling, so if this gets sketchy at any moment and he needs to resort to the grappling, which I don't think it will, but in case it does, he does have very good grappling. Completely shut down Yanala Shmooz and out-grappled him in that fight. That's a very dangerous opponent. Jamie Malarkey doesn't really pose any danger. He's not very good. He's a bottom feeder at lightweight. I think this is them trying to lay up Quillen Salkild with a knockout victory and build up a prospect a little bit more in front of that Sydney crowd. Give me Quillen Salkild, round 1 knockout, 2 minutes in, straight right down the pipe, sits him down, and he finishes him off with ground and pound. We'll move on. Another, what I think is a mismatch, but it's not even like a crazy matchup. I mean, this makes sense for both guys where they're at in their career. But Tai Tuivasa, I don't know how you can take him seriously. I mean, he was so ridiculously out of shape for so long, which tells you how little commitment he had to the game for a time. And I mean, dude, I saw videos of him in like a sauna jacket, in one of those sauna jackets, those little thermal suits where he used to cut weight, and he was hitting pads and he was exercising. Like, dog, this guy's got to cut down to 265, and he didn't even get under 265. He was 265 and a half. The dude is a blob. a blob of all blobs. I mean, we're talking about Chris Barnett level now at this point. He had to cut down to 265. It's ugly. Talison Teixeira is going to KO him out cold in round 1. I think it's going to look a lot like the Junior Tafa fight. Another one of those like Aussie Islander guys getting put out by Talison Teixeira. I mean, he is dangerous on the feet, and Tai Tuivasa, he's a brawler and he has power. He has that same power that kind of Derek Lewis has, which posed problems for Talison Teixeira. But also, that's a learning experience with Talison Teixeira. Maybe he won't get as reckless this time. Maybe he'll kind of keep things at range and keep things where he likes it. So I think Talison Teixeira is going to pick away at him early. I think Ty is going to start to wilt early in round 1, and then maybe 2-3 minutes in, Talison Teixeira is going to KO him against the cage. It's going to be a round 1 knockout, I think, back-to-back to open up the main card. Talison Teixeira is going to get this one done. We'll move on. Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Ruffy. This is such a cool fight. And it's really a 50-50 for me. I'm having such a hard time with it. Oh, man. I'm going to go with Ruffy. I think I'm going to go with Ruffy getting this one done by a really close decision, maybe even a controversial decision. I think Fiziev is going to have moments of success, but Mauricio Ruffy's so good at managing the distance, and I think he can strike with pretty much anybody in this division. I think he's going to really run into problems, though, when he runs into some grapplers. I don't think Fiziev's going to try and get him down too much. I think he's going to stick to his typical Muay Thai style. I think he's going to be trying to trade shots with him, go back and forth. And I think when Fiziev has that Muay Thai style, they kind of go tit for tat with each other. One guy will have an exchange. They'll have a 2 or 3 punch combination, throw a kick in there at the end, and then the other guy will go. And I think when Fiziev starts to fight like that, I think it'll leave openings for Ruffy to really have some big moments. Fiziev's really good defensively. It's going to be hard for Ruffy to land that trademark high kick or the wheel kick, whichever one he wants to go to. I don't think he's going to have that in his bag in this fight. But yeah, I think Ruffy's just going to win moments. I think he's going to look a little flashier. Maybe he'll be down on strikes, but he'll have the more flashy moments. He'll have the little in and out where I don't know. He'll do some cool shit, I'm sure. Maybe hit like a scissor sweep. He'll try and do some cool shit, and it'll win moments. And I think it'll win him this fight. I think Fiziev might be a little too inactive to get this decision for him. And also, Ruffy's been training with Craig Jones. I think that's going to be big if Fiziev tries to take this to the ground. So really, any striking matchup at 155, it's hard to pick against Ruffy. He is very, very good. So I'm going to go with him winning this fight in a very close 29-28 decision. Dan Hooker versus Benoit St Denis in the co-main. I'm having a tough one with this. The odds would tell you to easily pick Benoit, but I'm not so convinced that Benoit St Denis is going to win this fight. The win over Dariush was impressive. It was a 16-second knockout, but that is a shell of a man. That is not the Beneil Dariush of old. That is a chinny scrub that he knocked out in round 1. And then before that, it was Ruffy, which is a very impressive win by all means, but he didn't win that fight on the feet. He didn't. He had some moments, I guess, of success on the feet, but he really won that fight with the grappling advantage. So I'm not so sure that Benoit St Denis is going to win this fight. I'm really torn right now. I'm kind of making my decision on the fly right here. He does have the grappling advantage, but Dan Hooker's got solid grappling defense. And on the feet, Benoit St Denis is so slow, and I think there's a chance that Dan Hooker capitalizes on that. But also Benoit has really heavy hands. I know that Beneil Dariush is chinny, but to knock anyone out in the UFC in 16 seconds is an impressive feat. And then before that, he had the win over Kyle Prepelec. He had the win over Mauricio Ruffy. And he was on a tear, man. I think it's going to be a brawl. I think it's going to be a brawl. And we've seen, when Dan Hooker gets into brawls, we've seen him get hurt before. He got hurt quite a bit in that fight against Dustin Poirier, which Benoit is not at the level of prime Poirier, don't get me wrong, but that was a fight where Dan Hooker got hurt quite a bit. You also look at the Arnold Allen fight where Dan Hooker kind of got into a brawl with him and he got hurt. So, Benoit St Denis is really heavy-handed. Dan Hooker likes to get in brawls. I'm not going to pick a knockout in this fight. I think it's going to be a 3-round scrap. I think it's going to be fight of the night for sure. But I'm going to go with Benoit St Denis edging this one out, 29-28 decision. Maybe Dan Hooker takes a round, but I don't know, man. I'm also thinking about the momentum of this one too. Benoit St Denis is on a little bit of a run right now. He's kind of bounced back in his career. Dan Hooker not coming off an impressive performance, and it's a fight where he took a lot of damage. He got beat the fuck up in that fight, so I think maybe there's a chance that Benoit opens up some scar tissue on Dan Hooker's face because we're only like 3 months removed from that beatdown he took against Arman Tsarukyan. So we'll move on to the main event. As you can see behind me, the rematch of this glorious fight right here. I've said it before. Diego Lopes is my favorite fighter. And it's not close. I love Diego. Diego is my world. He is my light. He is my joy. I'm going with Volkanovski though. I'm going with Volkanovski. We're only what 10 months removed from the first fight. It's not a lot of time, and I do think there will be improvements from Diego Lopes, and I think it'll be closer. But I also think Volk's going to make adjustments of his own. And if you've heard him talk about going into this fight, the difference. He just seems so much more dialed in. He seems intent on making this look easy. And I don't think he's going to make it look easy. I think it's going to be tricky. And I think Diego's going to have him in danger. I think there's going to be a point where Diego drops him. I think there's going to be a point where Diego maybe gets him in a scary submission position. But I think overall, Volk is going to, I think he's going to lead the dance. I think he's going to win this fight. He is quicker. He has crazy fast hands. He's so good at getting in and out, avoiding big shots, and getting in, landing big shots of his own. Now, he did say he's going to sit down on punches a lot more in this fight. And that does scare me for him. Because if he starts trading in the pocket with Diego, that's bad. He's going to get punished for that. Diego's not someone you want to trade in the pocket with. Maybe he's kind of fronting a little bit. Maybe he's saying that to kind of, trick Diego. Maybe there's mind games being played. But if Volk does that, it's going to be a problem for him. He can't really afford to sit down on punches and trade with Diego in the pocket, or there's a good chance he gets chinned out cold. So I do worry about that for my prediction. I'm rooting for Diego. That's my guy. I love Volk too. If you look at my header, they're my two favorite fighters. I love both these guys. I don't want to see either one of them lose, but that's the reality of the sport, right? That's what it is. One of them has to lose. And I want to see Diego have his time in the sun as well. That's my favorite fighter. I want him to get that belt. I want to see that image of Diego Lopes with gold around his waist. It'd be great. But I'm getting carried away. Back to the fight. I think Volk, he's also got great grappling. Of course, Volk has outstanding wrestling. He's he's a mauler. I mean, the dude, he's so strong. He's so, I don't know, man. He's gonna be able to, if he gets to Diego's hips, I think he's gonna be able to get him down. Now, I wouldn't stay on the ground with him for too long. I wouldn't. If I'm Volk, I'm not putting myself in any position where Diego can get a sub off his back. I'm just using it to get takedowns, maybe get some control time, land some ground and pound, and get out of there. I wouldn't be trying to, advance position too much and end up in scrambles where he could be in a bad spot. So that is worrying for Volk. There's a lot of areas of danger for him in this fight. Diego Lopes is a monster. I think Volk's going to be a bit too evasive. I think he's going to be hard to hit as he was in the first fight. I think Volk's going to be getting in and out, landing the bigger shots. And if he wins round one and he keeps carrying that momentum, I think it's going to be a snowball effect like it is with a lot of Volk fights. So give me Volk winning this one. I'll go 48-47 decision. Maybe he doesn't win as clearly this time. Maybe Diego has him in some danger again. But it's hard to pick against Volk, especially when we're only 10 months, I think, removed from that first fight. And also, Diego Lopes, he capitalizes on crazy exchanges like we saw in his last win against Gene Silva. Gene Silva starting to get going. It was starting to roll downhill for Gene Silva, and then he got a little too reckless, and Diego made him pay for it. Volk's a lot more composed than that. He's not going to have that moment where he gets too wild and leaves himself open to being hit. If Diego does catch him, it's going to be when Volk leans back with his chin up in the air. So that's an opportunity for Diego to cash in on. But I think Volk's aware of that. I think he's going to have a good game plan going into this fight. And I also think, Diego doesn't do a good job cutting off the cage. He doesn't do a great job at setting up shots and stringing together long combinations. So it's hard, Volk is such a sophisticated fighter. It's really hard to pick Diego Lopes to find that shot on him. When we saw him have 25 minutes to do it in the first fight, and he wasn't able to. So that's my prediction. I think Volk's going to win it 48-47 decision. Hate it for Diego. That's my guy, but I'm going with my brain here. I'm not going with my heart. I almost did that last week. I almost picked D-Lou over Waldo Cortez Acosta, and my oh my, would that have been just a tragic pick. That would have been a horrible pick. So I'm going with Volk in this one. That's my pick for the main event. And that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.